Oh, and I have people ask me, like, does my port hurt? It's like, especially like when I'm running fluids and stuff. Not at all. If my port is seated where it's supposed to be, like it's accessed correctly, whatnot, I don't even feel it. I taste it, which is pretty gross. I taste the saline or the whatever is going in the line. Guys, okay, so I just got done editing the port access video, and it was already pretty long. It was like 25 minutes, something like that. So I decided to put how I actually hook up my infusions on a second video, and it's like a month later. It has been a crazy month. I just got accessed, so I still have gloves and everything on, and so this is the first trash pile of just port accessing, and there's like trays under there and the other sterile field, and yeah. So we are gonna make some more trash. So port is accessed, went super good. This side seems to be way easier for me to access. My other side is in my armpit, and so it doesn't stabilize the same way. Like I can't hold it exactly. I don't know. I'm still learning that other side. So this one's pretty easy. I had one stick, so that makes it way, way easier. And on the last video, I'll link it here, I talked about the pain patch. Like I normally cut my pain patches and I put them over my port. Like I cut it in half, and then I cut it in half again, and then I cut that in half. And I put just a little, like a strip across like both of my ports, so I can make sure that I have everything covered. And I said that I was not reacting to the pain patches. Well, unfortunately, I am now reacting to my pain patches, so I haven't been able to wear them. It's been almost a week, I guess, since I wore one, and I'm breaking out into a rash, but I've been having all sorts of mast cell rashes, and I just had to go to the emergency room yesterday, and I had to get steroid shot in my bum. Hives and rashes are so frustrating. Like for people that have never had to deal with it before, they come out of nowhere. They show up wherever they darn well please. There can be no trigger for it. There can be a trigger for it that you know you have used 14,000 other times and never had problems. It's super frustrating. So to make myself feel better, I have a party straw. Okay, so we are gonna hook up. I don't know what you can see over here, so we might do some, oh, not bad actually. Let's move you back a little bit and try not to make us look drunk here. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Okay, okay, since I made that last video on port access and I was telling you guys about all the stuff, we've had to change up some of my supplies, partly just because they are not available like the ones that I was getting before. The biggest difference is there's two differences. So here is my tubing for that I actually pull off of here. So we'll just do it step by step and I'll tell you the differences. So we pull the cap off of this one, and I am going to go ahead and turn on my pump. Super easy. It has a on button. Okay. So my bags, my tubing before, so this is the spike part. So we're gonna undo my sticky stuff. Come on over here. There's one more here. Okay. So in my other set of tubing, which I really liked, this was all the same. So you take off the cap and you spike the bag. And my bags are ridiculously easy. You have an add side and you have a set side. So anytime that you actually have to spike a bag to add anything to it, like you can spike bags with D10 and D50. Like for glucose problems, you can spike them with like full shots of electrolytes, and you can turn these into banana bags. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. But if we are running strictly just regular fluid, which is what we're doing today, so take this. And since I'm like talking and I don't even know what I'm paying attention to at the moment for sterile purposes, we're not gonna make any chances. Okay, so spike the bag, and it can only go so far. So my pump asks me about stuff, and I just have to keep pushing all of my buttons and passwords until I get to the right spot. You can actually see the fluid enter each like round of the tubes, which is kind of fun. Okay, so on the side over here, it has a latch, so you just unlatch it. This is the portion that actually gets hooked into the pump, and this is actually what does the pumping part. So it sits on the bottom and then it snaps into place 2 times. You close the cover. Now, different tubing. So on my last set of tubes, there was like this extra box. It was like a rectangle that was like 3 inches long and about 1.5 inches thick. And that was actually the air filter for the whole system. And this is what we were having trouble finding. We couldn't find them anymore. So now I have secondary air filters, which are these. So this little block right there, that's actually what filters the air out. So we're gonna open this up. Sheesh. My hands are tired today. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we've got 2 caps over here. We've got the first cap, and then we take the cap off of this one. Caps on everything. So you slide it in, lock it into place. And this is another, ouch, difference from last time. Okay, so what I have here is what my original, I know, it says it's been active for 2 minutes, inactive for 2 minutes, which is correct. And it tells me all of this. We don't have an air filter hooked in. You have to have secondary air filters. Okay. So what my original home health nursing told me was this little connector here was the anti-siphon, so you don't get air, you know, sucked into the system when you're doing everything you can to get it out, even though it's really not that life-threatening or problem that you get a little air bubbles in there. It's actually fine. So this is what I was told was an anti-siphon valve, which is this, and this stays connected to my line all week long. I never disconnect that one. But actually, this is an anti-siphon. Come on, there you go. It's a slightly different connector, and it actually hooks into my anti-air connector. So this one we're gonna undo. So blue connector on my air filter line, hooks into the anti-siphon. Okay, and so what this one's actually called is a neutral connector, because pretty much anything can hook into it. I can put anti-siphons into it. I can directly connect tubing into it. So this one's neutral and that one's anti-siphon. So I have already flushed with this one. So what we do now is we take off this cap and I'm gonna move this over here so hopefully you guys can see. Okay, so I'm gonna hit prime on my pump. Hope you can see it. Should be. So we're gonna prime the pump this way, and it's got to feed in, and then it starts dripping. Drip, drip, drip. Can you see it? So we finished prime. Yes. It tells me to hook up to the patient, which I think is funny. Okay, so we are going to do one more alcohol wipe. Gonna unhook this one, and we're gonna clean this one off, and we're gonna clean that one off, and we hook them together. Everything is locked. So let's unlock my line and hit start. And there it goes. So, what we have going right now is just, it's a regular like 1,000 ml bag. And I am set to infuse 200 mils per hour. When I was only getting a single infusion a week, I was getting 2,000 mils in 2 hours. So we were shoving it in as fast as we could, partly because I was trying to get out of the emergency rooms as fast as possible because of infection risks. Partly because I was so exhausted after the hours to get to my infusion center and then having to get access, but at that point it wasn't really getting accessed. I was getting peripheral IVs, and so sometimes it was taking 5, 6, 7 sticks to get a good line in. It's just a lot of trauma. And this way I have access to fluids whenever I need them. So currently we're running 1,000 mils every other day. I'm having some blood pooling problems in my legs, which means that when I run fluids, I'm not getting enough to help all of the symptoms, but I'm getting enough that my legs are swelling. Not horrible. Not horrible most days, I guess. But I'm having to be real careful because it's also getting cold out, and then my Raynaud's kicks in, and so I'm real hesitate to overload any of my body when it comes to extra, like too much fluids right now. Rashes have been a problem. I did start the Xolair, and so I get my next 2 shots of Xolair this Friday. So, so with my 1,000 ml bag, it takes me 5 hours to run the infusion, so it's just kind of low and slow, which is nice. It's 4:22 now, so it should be done right around 9:22 this evening. And when I get to that part, I will show you guys how I unhook everything and how I lock my line until I need to use it again. And that's it. I'm so happy to be able to have access to all of this myself and to be able to control when I access, and I don't have to have anybody else do it. It's super, super, super awesome. I've had a few bad run-ins with medication we were trying, so I've been fighting side effects off of that. All the new stuff didn't work, and so I'm not taking any of it anymore, so my body's trying to get rid of it. I've had horrible migraines lately. I've had migraines like that I had to treat like 4 days in a row last week at work, which made it super, super hard. So I took my, I don't know, 4th or 5th Ajovy shot this week. And I'm starting to have a slight reaction to that stuff, but this one actually did a little bit better. I am anemic, going on 3 months now, I guess, and we're just kind of like, we've been waiting to see if it could just kind of like, I don't know, my body could just magically work better. That would be so great. I have never had to have blood transfusions. I've never had to have iron infusions, so I just did more blood work Friday, and we're going to see how the anemia is. My whites have been weird, super low 1 month and then in range the next month. So that's been a little bit odd. But I've been fighting other stuff, side effects and whatnot, and I still think maybe that stuff has something to do with it. So more blood work, and we're testing my iron, and what was the other one? Oh, and B12, because if it's a culprit of actual anemia, like iron deficient anemia or B12 anemia, like B12 shots I can do myself, or I can have my primary do them. Iron infusions obviously are more special, and I'd have to go like probably to an infusion center to have that stuff done. And my reds have been, my actual red blood cell count is too low, and my hemoglobin is also too low. So we're trying to figure out if it's just, a lot of it is also due to the fact that I'm having consistent hydration. So like this is kind of what we're calling like my baseline or my new normal, which is really weird because I've never had this kind of normal blood work. It's not normal, but more normal for me, I guess. And because if this is what we're considering my new normal, I might just need a blood transfusion to get more red blood cells into my body. I'm super pale. I have very little energy. I am tired all the time. Shortness of breath. I mean, like all of the typical, you know, don't have enough red blood cells taking that, you know, amazing oxygen all over your body. So it's been a bit of a struggle bus, but at least we've got some testing going on, and we'll see what we need to do. Hopefully I'll have some answers on that this week, and I'll keep you a bit more posted. So yeah, we're good running. Oh, and I have people ask me, like, does my port hurt? It's like, especially like when I'm running fluids and stuff. Not at all. If my port is seated where it's supposed to be, like it's accessed correctly, whatnot, I don't even feel it. I taste it, which is pretty gross. I taste the saline or the whatever is going in the line, LR. Heparin locks taste really gross. I don't know how that works. It's something about like where it carries the fluids, and so I actually taste it like in the back of my mouth. It's pretty gross. Doesn't hurt at all. And I used my because the patches I was reacting to, and I just got steroid shots yesterday, and so I actually used my Saline like the actual gel stuff, and it worked just fine. I figured I could try it, especially when I had steroids in my system. So as soon as my infusion is done, I will hit you guys back up and I will show you how it goes. Bye. Okay, the pump is about to go off and tell me that the infusion is over. So, heparin lock. So it's 5 mils of a heparin lock. Effectively an anticoagulant that sits in the port and in my line until I am ready to use it again in a couple days. So we're waiting. We didn't have to wait long at all. So it says it is finished, so I mute it, hit OK. And then I hold down my on-off button until it beeps at me. And that'll shut it down. Awesome sauce. Unlock it here. Take this out. Take this off. Get myself untangled here. Okay. Oh, it's been a long week. Okay, so I have supplies to where I take everything off except for my access and my neutral connector. So we're gonna take this off. And you don't want to touch anything so you can keep it sterile. Alright, so we undo this pot. Lock it in there. Flush, 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 flush. So we lock the line, undo it, and then we put our cap on, which is normally a little moist. Make sure we're all locked together, and that's it. So I'll stay like that for a couple days, and then I will run another infusion and repeat the process. So there we go. That's how I run my infusions, at least the easy ones. I don't know how the rest of it's gonna go yet once I get all the lab work and everything back this week. We'll see if we have to change some stuff up. So I love you guys, and thanks for all the wonderful. So give us a like and subscribe below. I'll see you later. Bye.